Good day. Whoa. Okay. Today is January 30th, 2024. And hello, JC, Sister Jeannie, and good day, CW. And I apologize for starting a little bit late. I was trying to give the sun just 15 minutes to warm up the tent a little bit. Yeah, I was wrong on the weather, which I am wrong often on things. So it's actually 40 degrees. It's the refrigerator mass, we'll call it today. But in any case, I'm going to get right into morning prayers and continue with the ecstatic union. I really find it interesting. And howdy, CJ, and all those others who have contacted me and we're in contact with now. Excuse me, got that frog still. I'm not used to this Florida cold. Again, welcome Melanie as she works through a lot of her questions, and also, again, our friends in California, Garrett and Hope, and of course Kyle, Peter, Greg, and etc. So yes, this Saturday, I'm pretty sure we're locking in this Saturday. We're going to have Mass at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Mr. Nobody's going to come visit, and we're going to have a talk. We're going to chat, and another young gentleman. So yeah, I wanted to allow some time for Mr. Nobody to drive the distance to get here. I don't know if you can see the smoke coming from my mouth, but it's chilly here this morning. It's a bad hair day, it's everything. So, but we're here, and we're happy. All right, we're happy we're here. Are we? All right, let's begin with morning prayers. I'm going to bring this right over here. In nomine Dei, matronam nostrum et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Back up a little bit. Before I begin, make it a little bit easier on my back and your view. I'm going to move the camera back a little bit, see how this works. Because I don't think anybody's be coming in the door of the tent. Okay, that I think is better. Yes, then I don't have to scrunch. In nomine Dei, matronam nostrum et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. So let us place ourselves in the presence of God, and in Catholic contemplation humbly adore the Trinitarian Theophany. Most holy and venerable Trinity, one God and three divine beings, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O God, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace and life everlasting, through the merits of Dei matronam nostra et Deum Iesum Christum. O God, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank God for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O God, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O God, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, O God, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send thee. Let us, God, Our Lady, O Mother of God, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because I have offended thee, my God, who art good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, and I'm thinking of things while I'm praying. I shouldn't do that. But I was thinking how they use the word thou. And I thought that was actually really good for God. It eliminates the gender thing. Okay. Ecstatic union, its manifestation and nature. Ecstasy is the suspension of the exterior senses. It does not necessarily imply levitation or the elevation of the body above the ground. This suspension of the exterior senses is manifested by more or less marked insensibility, the slowing of the respiration, the diminution of vital heat. According to St. Teresa of Avila, quote, one perceives that the natural heat of the body is perceptibly lessened. The coldness increases, though accompanied with exceeding joy and sweetness, unquote. The body then becomes motionless, the gaze fixed on an invisible object. Sometimes the eyelids close. Instead of weakening the body, this state gives it new strength. A person who ordinarily would find difficulty in kneeling for a long time does so without difficulty in the state of ecstasy. Occasionally, the suspension of the senses is incomplete and allows the ecstatic to dictate the revelations received, as happened to St. Catherine of Siena. Whence arises the loss of the use of the exterior senses in this state? It proceeds from the soul's absorption in God, which is itself the result of a very special grace of light and love. The abundant light then given, for example, on the mysteries of the redemptive incarnation of the Eucharist as the expression of the immense goodness of God, produces lively admiration and great love of God. The will is touched and, as it were, wounded by the divine attraction, and moves toward God with great impetuosity, like a magnetized needle toward a pole. The admiration of the intellect grows through love, and love through admiration, as St. Francis de Sales says, quote, the sight of beauty makes us love it, and love makes us look at it, unquote. The soul, thus ravished with admiration for love of God, loses the use of its senses because all its activity passes over into its higher part. St. Thomas noted this principle clearly, quote, when the soul tends wholly to act of one power, man is abstracted from the act of another power, unquote. When the soul is wholly moved to the act of one of its faculties, the exercise of the other faculties is suspended. If at times a scholar like Archimedes is so absorbed by speculation that he no longer hears speech addressed to him, with what far greater reason is this true of the contemplative soul at the time when a very strong grace makes it perceive the infinite majesty of God and absorbs it in this sanctified contemplation. Then ecstasy, which follows this eminent infused contemplation, is not properly speaking extraordinary. It may be the normal result of the soul's absorption in God, according to the principle which we have just recalled. As we shall see, it is otherwise in rapture, which seizes the soul abruptly and violently in order to raise it to lofty contemplation. Then it precedes this contemplation instead of following it. In ecstatic love, is there still liberty and merit? There most certainly is. As St. Thomas shows, the liberty of the act of love, the condition of merit, disappears only when the soul sees God face to face in heaven. Then it is invincibly attracted by God and loves God with a love that is sovereignly spontaneous but no longer free. It is a love superior to freedom. The duration of divine ecstasy varies greatly. Complete ecstasy generally lasts only some minutes, sometimes for half an hour. However, there are cases of prolonged, incomplete ecstasy, which St. Teresa of Avila says lasts occasionally for an entire day, unquote. There are even complete ecstasies which have lasted as much as 4 days, or even longer. Ecstasy ordinarily ends by a spontaneous awakening. Only little by little does the soul recover the use of its senses, as it were returning from another world. The awakening may be provoked by an oral or simply a mental command given by a religious superior. In this connection, it should be observed that, in the judgment of the Church, religious obedience during ecstasy is one of the characteristic signs of its divine origin, and a sign which eliminates the hypothesis of hysteria. The ecstatic who does not obey a religious superior lacks the sign considered by the Church as a touchstone, which shows the conformity of the ecstatic's will with the divine will expressed by the superior. It should in fact be kept clearly in mind that if in hysteria there is suggestion by hypnosis, it is only through the influence of an imperious will and a strong imagination on a sickly sensibility, with surrender of the will and no merit. In this case, there is lacking the moral character of religious obedience, in which, through virtue, a human will subject itself to the divine will, and even comes out of ecstasy to obey in this way. False ecstasies are often easy to discern from true ones. The ecstasy of divine origin differs greatly from the so-called hysterical ecstasy, because in the divine there is no trace of the character of morbid excitation, of strained and passionate agitation, of entirely physical enjoyment followed by great depression. Divine ecstasy is a movement of the entire being, body and soul, toward the divine object that is contemplated. In a great calm, it is the absorption of the soul ravished out of its senses by a mysterious power, generally following a vision received in the imagination or the intellect. The end of the ecstasy is the return to the natural state in a calm manner, accompanied by simple regret over the disappearance of the vision and the celestial joy that it gave. This was observed in particular in the ecstasies of St. Teresa of Avila and many other servants of God. It should be noted also that the natural swoon which, that the natural swoon may have as its cause an excessive overexcitement of the imagination, or even the lively impressions of mental prayer on a frail and weak constitution. These swoons should be eliminated as much as possible. They should be resisted, and the organism strengthened by more substantial food. Lastly, it should be kept in mind that there can be diabolical ecstasies, which are a sort of obsession. If a person lives in sin and seems to have ecstasies during which he gives way to unseemly contortions, utters incoherent words which he immediately forgets, seeks frequented places that he may become a spectacle, and if besides in this state he receives communications leading to evil or to good for an evil end, these are so many signs, as Benedict XIV declares, of diabolical ecstasy. Interesting. We'll end today with that, and tomorrow we will continue with what distinguishes rapture from ecstasy and the effects of ecstatic union. Oh, and the purification of love. That's 3 short ones tomorrow. All right, let us begin Mass. And the sun is slowly warming things up. So I will take my jacket off. I might have a red nose, but other than that, it's from cold, not from drinking. So let us now contemplate the Passion represented by Mass. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apate. Oremus. O God, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hanc immaculatum hostium, quam ego indinius famulus tuus offerit tibi Deum meum vivum et verum, pro in nomine Dividibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus et pro omnibus fidelibus, cata locorum vivis acque defunctis ut mihi et idis proficiedat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantia dignitate meri vidit condidisiet meri vidius reformaster da nobis spiritus acquerit ministerium, eis divinitatis esse consultis quia eminitatis nostrae, fieri dignatis est participes Deum, Iesum Christum filium, qui tegum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum da peccantis clementiam, ut in specto divina majestatis Tuae pro nostra totius mundi salute, cum adore suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam rate Deum Iesum Christum, et sic fiat sacrificium nostrum in specto Tuo hodie, ut placia tibi Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Bene Sanctificator, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et benedicit oblata prosequendo, et accepere hoc sacrificium Tuo Sancto nomine preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas Concoblationum quam tibi eferimus, ab memoriam passiones, resurrectionis et ascensiones, Deum Iesum Christum, et in honoram Deum Matronam nostri et Papa Pete Sanctorum et Istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut illis proficiat ad honorem, nobis autem et salutem, et illi pro nobis intercedere, dinenter in celis, quorum amorem agimus in telis periendum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meam ec vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat apud Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum, sacrificium de manibus tui, sed laudem et gloriam nominis sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae sui sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, sursum corda, habemus a Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te egitur clementissimi Mater et Pater, Deum Mater Nostre, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, Deum Nostre, supplicis rogamus occupetimit, ut recepta bes et benedicas, et sanctificas, hic sanctam sacrificium ilibata. In primisque tibi afferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare custodiri adonare et regere digneris orbe terrarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulum caturum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We pray for Father Henry Finch, Father Warren, Katie, Gage, Neil and Earl Lively, Robert Charles Dusko and Irene Dusko, Maria Josephina Mose, Emily, Mark Jr., Casey, Ann Bultink, John Cahill, Maria Lineweber, Mr. Nobody, the Cantu and Duarte families, Lori, Aaron, Jenna, and Lena and family, the Lineweber, Cahill, Dosco, Nye, Tafur, Began, Wolf families, and Alex Tafur. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sedevacantist Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child abuse, child trafficking, human trafficking of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium of exchange, without usury. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. We ask for a reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity, and that women cease working for Freemasons and corporations, that men may be able to provide without working for Freemasons and corporations as well, so that they may come to understand that raising in the traditional Catholic families is a very high ideal and a necessity for sustaining a peaceful world. We ask that you also grant all these other petitions, and especially that Rome be, the Church of Rome be destroyed. All these things we ask in accordance with God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantiam quorum tibi fidis cognita est et nota devotio, pro quibus tibi efferimus, vero qui tibi affront hoc sacrificium laudis, pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione amanum suarum prospe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi credum vota sua eterna Deum vivu et vero. Communicantes et memoriam venerantes in primis gloriose semper Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Beatorum Martyrium Tuorum Papa Sancta Petri, et Sancta Lucia, et Sancta Jacinta, et Sancta Francisco, et Sancta Juan Diego, et omnium Sanctorum Tuorum quorum meritis precibusque concedas, ut in omnibus protectiones Tuae muniam ad exilio periendum Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblationem ut Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum acceptabulum conficedi dineris ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat delictissimi Filium Tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretur recepit panem in sancta sacramentablis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum arte Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum sum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens. Consecravit frege didique lumnis sui dicenza cipite et mandacate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simini modo post ceremonias accipiens et hunc preclarum calicem in sancta sacra nobis manus suas item tibi gratias agens. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecrave dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et vivite ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum, equates cum preficeditis meum non facietis. Unde et memoris Deum nos servitui, sed plebs tua sancta iustum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre, tambe et passiones nec non et in fidis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosae ascensionis. Offerimus preclari majestatitudi tuis donis ac datis, supraque poplitio ac sereno voture specieri digneris. Supplices terramus, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hec perferi per manus tuum, ut ex hoc altaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem simsenimus omni benedictione celeste gratia Dei per amor, per indum Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for Delia Fiocchi, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum quiescentibum locum refugiri lucis et pacis ut nota geste proclamor per indum Christum Deum nostrum, per quem hec omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bono creas, sanctificas, vivificas, benedictis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matronum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, Matronam Nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum, Dea Matronam Nostrae, Mater Deum Iesum Christum misericordia nobis, peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quesumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum ab omnibus malis, praeteritis presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beate gloriosa semper Dea Matronam Nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis sta propitius pacem in diebus nostris. Ut ope misericordiae Tue aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per indum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum, Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Ecum extio consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat accipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. pax tecum, quoque apote. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Dei matronam nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum abonibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tuis semper inharare mandatis et numquam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deam matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Percepto corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sum repressimo non mihi proveniet in judicium condenationem, sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi a tutum medibedis corporis, et ad mededam percipiandum qui vivis et regnas, cum Deam matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Param celestum et cipiam in nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Param celestum et cipiam in nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Param celestum et cipiam in nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deam matronam nostrae non sunt dignus, ut intercedete me, sint tanto verbis aberranam mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignus, ut intercedete me, sint tanto verbis aberranam mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignus, ut intercedete me, sint tanto verbis aberranam mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quid retrobam Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus queritur mihi, calicem salutaris et cipiam et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis abusero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quodore sumpsimus Deum Iesum Christum puramente capiamus et immunine tempore fiat nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum quod sumpsit et sanguis comforta herbe heribus celibus meis et presta, ut in me non remenia scelera macula, quem pura et sancta reficenda sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te. Oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids who beseech thee, O God, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te. Ite mis est, Deum gratia. Gratia tibi, Sancta Trinitam, obsequium servitutis mea presta ut sacrificium, cor oculis tui majestatis in nus autoritibus et tractabre nequet omnibus, pro quibus irut optolicit miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum. Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. Where did it go? What a gift we have. I just have to find it. Here it is. O God, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, who was, is, and ever shall be, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and immaculate heart of God, Our Lady, who was, is, and ever shall be, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei, Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. All right, thank you again for coming and for your sincerity and your reverentness and your prayers and questions and all of it. I am happy to be able to help you. And anybody who can visit and come tomorrow to Mass, it will be at the let's see, I'm going to try and do it at 7:30 again. I think the temperature, I think this was the coldest this week, so it should be a little bit in the higher end of the refrigerator zone that you're allowed to have for tomorrow. But we get through. All right, please go and sanctify all those who you meet today.